What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of Positively Uncensored, your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. It's your host, Leah.
Happy Monday, December 8th. Can you guys believe that it is already December? I feel like in the blink of an eye, it's going to be the holidays. I'm going to be traveling back home to Ohio to see my lovely parents, my sisters, my brother, hopefully see my nieces and nephews, eat some of the food that I grew up eating. As we approach the holidays, I want to be mindful that the holidays are not always a positive time for everybody. You can listen to my podcast whether you love the holidays, whether you hate the holidays, whether you want someone to just talk about something else other than the holidays. Know that I will still be bringing you reality TV content. I may take a little bit of time off around the holidays. I'm going to hopefully try to pre-record some things. But if you're familiar with reality TV, then you know a lot of times the news just springs out there and it's last minute. So I'm going to try to be there as much as possible. I said I wanted to record a little bit more episodes this December, so I'm going to try to be on top of things. I was initially watching Love is Blind Italy and I had plans to cover it. Unfortunately, it's not pulling me in. I'm a little bit tired of Love is Blind. I'm okay with waiting until a season everybody is talking about, unless more of you are watching. And I'm so sorry, but I'm talking like more than 100 of you. If 100 of you are wanting me to watch it, I'll cover it. But other than that, I'm not really seeing the demand. So I'm going to give myself permission to skip that. I made it all the way to season 8 of Real Housewives of New Jersey. I have just met Margaret, the entire reason that I'm watching, because I saw the scene of pushed her husband in the pool. I just saw Pot Puss. Somebody's going to have to explain who watched Real Housewives of New Jersey. What is she talking about? Was she really talking about a spray? I feel like at BravoCon, she was alluding to you couldn't talk about marijuana or weed at the time on TV. So she was talking about that, but it was so much extra detail. That's all to say, I'm enjoying watching my Real Housewives of New Jersey. I also I'm going to be starting Real Housewives of Potomac this current season because I also made it all the way to season 8 of Real Housewives of Potomac. But those are sort of just my shows that I like to watch personally in my downtime and not talk about. If anything crazy ever happens that I'm moved to talk about, then I will. But that's sort of what I'm watching. I'm kind of watching Southern Charm. Like, I'm watching it. I'm not sure if I want to cover this season or not cover this season. I loathe so many of the cast members, but what I'm excited about and what we're going to be talking about this episode is owning Manhattan. I watched the entirety of season 2. I watched it for my own personal enjoyment, which means that I watched it without taking notes. I just flew through the season. I'm an HGTV girly, which means that I like to see the real estate. That's why I started watching Selling Sunset back in its early seasons. I wanted to see the real estate. The drama was whatever. When it was about a listing or drama over who gets the listing or drama with a client, that's interesting to me. But all of this stuff about their personal lives, I'm good. And Brett and Jason have proven themselves to be despicable in many ways. Most recently, Jason was on Alex Hall's podcast, another person who shouldn't have a mic. Potentially, they should take away microphones in certain cities. Maybe if you live in Newport Beach, California, maybe you shouldn't be able to have a podcast. I don't know. But he went on her podcast talking about the mansion tax, alluding to how he's an independent when every single thing that he said proceeded to be very conservative. We've heard about how he is one of the producers on the show, and how he self-produces himself and Brett, how he decides to omit certain scenes that don't make them look great, and just generally the racism that he allows to occur. And owning Manhattan is refreshing. There was some microaggressions this season, if not some outright racism, but it wasn't every single episode to the way that Selling Sunset was this last season with Chelsea, where it was just there wasn't a storyline except that, right? It was everybody's racism was in your face. This cast has like a couple of cast members who I can deal without. Jess could be fired tomorrow, the British agent. The other Jessica could be fired, the girl with the wolf eyes. She looks like a White Walker. She's got very bright blue eyes. She could be fired tomorrow. I initially liked Jordan, the white gay guy. I initially liked him this season. He's very microaggressive towards Genesis, a new agent for no reason. But what I'm getting to, and sorry, spoilers ahead, is I like most of the cast. I like Ryan. We see some scenes where Ryan looks less than favorable. There's a scene where he doesn't get a listing and somebody who he just brought into Sirhan ends up getting the listing over him. This is a $60 million apartment listing, the most expensive listing in Manhattan to date. So record breaking, offering $1.8 million in commission, and Ryan lost the listing. We see that he is upset, right? Like that's not masked. We see that he was competing with his I don't know if it's an employee or peer, but we see the competitive side of him. We see the ego hurt afterwards. We see moments where his wife humbles him about how his work ethic or potentially addictive personality he has and the desire to just have more, 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 and the conflict that has with Ryan's idea to have 4 children. We see agents be able to advocate for themselves and Ryan really listen. And unlike talking to a boss where you don't feel heard or their reasoning ultimately has no weight, they're just asserting power because they can. Like Ryan makes some good points. Like in the final episode, we're wondering, does Jordan stay with Sirhan? Does he go somewhere else? He just got this development that he had wanted. And in the conversation to find out that he's been with Ryan since the very beginning, since Sirhan's start, you know, as the come up was upping, he was with Ryan on that journey and is feeling looked over and feeling like he's not getting the opportunities that he once was, and for Ryan to counter that with how he's trying to give other people opportunities as well. It's not a small startup company with 6 people working there now. There's hundreds of employees and hundreds of people to split opportunities for and compete against. I thought that it was very interesting. Like I just thought that this season was interesting. We see Ryan be a dick. You know, I don't know if it was producer motivated, because what's interesting is tell that there's like somebody said this very eloquently on either Twitter or Threads, and I'm sorry for not giving them credit, but this was not an original thought by myself. But you can tell that this is a reality TV show while also, and there's, you know, there needs to be a plot, there needs to be a fair bit of drama, and yet simultaneously it feels like authentic. Like it feels like a lot of what we're seeing is real. And Ryan does a good job of that. So again, I'm not sure if when he calls an agent and screws them out of a combined 3 apartment listing and tells them that he'll accept their offer, but he's putting a wall up and not giving them all 3 apartments when the offer was originally accepted for 3 apartments. I don't know if that was producer motivated or if we just got to see him be a bit of a dick and take an opportunity, but it was interesting nonetheless. And I don't feel like it was things that we would see from Jason and Brett. Now, like I said, I did not take specific notes. You guys have a lot of control over my schedule and what I record on. So if you want to hear individual episodes on Owning Manhattan, I would be happy to do that. Transparently, I'm trying to get some interviews set up so that I can talk to the cast, hear their perspectives outright from them. In fact, I have my email open that I am watching in the corner because I am hoping that I can get an invite to an event this Thursday in the city at Sirhan so that I can see a tour of like the agency. There's an opportunity to see some deleted scenes. There's an opportunity to talk to some of the agents there and like do like a short little interview for TikTok. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can get an invite to that. If you're new to the podcast, I live in Jersey. I'm not somebody who I take back roads. I don't take the highways, but I would definitely schedule myself a Lyft so that I have no anxiety on how I get there, finding out where I go after I get off the train. Just get get myself there, get myself back, schedule a ride for myself, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that's something that I could bring to you guys. But like I said, you guys let me know if you want individual recaps. What I'm going to do now, and I'm going to put in the details of this episode spoilers so that people just don't have the season spoiled, but I'm going to talk about a couple of plot points that I thought were most interesting because, again, I have watched all 10 episodes. First of all, I alluded to this or touched on it a little bit, but Ryan's decision to have a flash sale for the apartment, which was initially 3 apartments and then combined into one massive condo, one massive penthouse, if you will. And his decision to have a flash sale and take this $12 million listing that he was given and put it up sale for $6 million, which will bring in a lot of foot traffic, a lot of people who are interested, and hopefully drive people to have like a bidding war and get that price back up near 12 million, upwards of 10 million if he's able to, right? To create some demand on this apartment. I thought that decision in itself was interesting for a number of reasons. I myself love a good deal, right? But in terms of selecting a home, especially somewhere that's in like a sky rise, if it suddenly dropped 50%, I'm not sure that I would think that I am getting a deal or if I am being sold a bag of soiled goods. I would wonder, is the structure sound? Did something happen? Did somebody die in this apartment? Do they know something that I don't know about a hideous construction site that's going to be very loud across the street? Are they going to add a building that obscures my view? Is there a problem with plumbing? Is there mold? Is there an infestation? What's going on? Like, why is this 50% off, right? Like that's what I would be wondering. So, $12 million is a lot of money. And for so much square footage, I think that I don't know if I agree with Ryan that like maybe it's like too big to figure out what to do with this space. I don't know if it's about the location, if it's about just like aesthetics. The apartment is big, but maybe it lacks soul. I remember we saw a buyer who sent somebody to look at the property for him in the past season who we thought was going to buy it. But to hear that this is a widow, her and her husband were living here. He made this for her. He passed away suddenly. Now she is left with this massive property with a huge monthly payment or huge mortgage and just too much space for herself. I get Ryan's urgency to his client to want to try to get this sale done. So yeah, I kind of thought it was a good idea to get foot traffic. I kind of thought that the people who have the money would have been interested if they were interested, and dropping it down to people who have that kind of money might not make them feel good about the investment. Like, is there something that I don't know that's being hidden? That's what I think that they would think. However, fast forward, because I talked about how this ends up not very many people. So we see tons of people in this listing. However, I guess only a couple of bids come through, which Ryan is very perturbed about. He gets one bid for I think 6.5 million, one for 8 million, and again, they wanted upwards of 10 million to get this back to the original listing price of 12. So Ryan has to take this back to the client and ends up accepting, in my mind, prematurely would be an appropriate word to describe this, but an $8 million offer for the 3 apartments and the square footage that stands. I think it was about 9,000 and some change. Now, Ryan is upset again because this was only 2 offers put in. And if he accepts the offer of $8 million and loses the seller that $4 million, not only is it bad and he'll disappoint the client, but it's just bad for his reputation. So he's trying to salvage this and figure out how do I take this deal but not make myself look bad in the process. So his solution is to call back the accepted offer of $8 million and tell them that, look, we're going to have to put this through because the New York Condo Association knows what it is anyways as 2 separate listings. So because of that, And $8 million is just way too low. The building across the street is selling for $5,000 a square foot. You're getting this for $1,000 a square foot. It's right across the street. It's prime real estate. It just doesn't make sense. So what I'm going to do is your buyer is still going to get the bulk of the house that he cared about, the pieces that he was most excited about. But that extra additional bedroom, which was supposed to be whatever, a guest room, an office, what have you, we're going to seal that off, put up a wall, and that's going to be a separate condo. Now, the buyer's pissed because, again, the original offer was accepted, and now the contract's going to be amended to get 1,500 less square footage, and being told that that's turned into in a different apartment. So yes, it is effectively pulling the rug out from somebody, which is what the other agent says to Ryan on the phone. This feels snaky. This feels like you're pulling out the rug. Ultimately, his buyer ends up saying yes, and Ryan closes the deal. Was this a snaky move? Yes. Did I enjoy seeing it? Also, yes. The second incident I wanted to talk about is I mentioned that this season, Ryan essentially poaches Peter, who is very well known in the real estate world, it seems, or I don't know if he's in development. It's a little above my understanding, right? But he brings in Peter and poaches him from Corrigan. Correct me if I'm saying that wrong, which is one of the top real estate agencies in the country. Poaches Peter because he offers Peter to be the man, the person who handles this building, which would bring in $300 million of revenue to Sirhan if they're able to sell it. Okay. And this is a tempting deal. He would be the main lead contact on this. I'm assuming that's a lot of commish for him. I'm wondering, does he get commission on the entire building? I need to see Peter's house. I would like to see a tour of all of the agents' houses. And if I get the opportunity to go to this event, you better believe I'm going to say that. And if somebody invites me to come see it and take a video, I will. I will. I absolutely will. Are you kidding me? So just putting that out there. But so Peter comes over. He's a great agent, and we see what turns into Peter has a $60 million exclusive off-market listing, which everybody at Sirhan is excited to take to potential buyers because it's not something that they had access to before Peter. This is an exclusive, obviously very luxury, high price listing. So everybody is excited and vying for the opportunity to find a buyer because it's $1.8 million of commission. What ends up happening is like a pissing contest or a dick measuring contest, if you will, between Peter and Ryan. It's awkward. They both have buyers. Ryan prematurely tells his guy, "We'll accept your $55 million in cash. That's a great deal. And the broker is my guy. He works for me. I'm going to call him right now, draft up the paperwork." This is $55 million, right? He calls Peter. Peter's like, "No, my guy's not moving. 60 million or nothing. I have an offer higher than that." Anyways, Ryan ultimately gets his guy to move up to $57 million, which is not enough because before that, Peter gets his guy to move up to $60 million. It was a battle of who would get to $60 million first to get this listing. And it was a beautiful listing with an insane amount of outdoor space for being in the city. Just absolutely insane. So Peter wins. Ryan gets hung up on. Again, his ego took a massive hit. This was awkward. He turns the cab around and goes back because Peter hung up on him, already having a buyer. You could tell that it was awkward for Peter. Like the unspoken elephant in the room is, this is awkward. My boss is like competing with me and he's pissed and he doesn't want me to accept the terms of this deal, but I'm going to accept terms of this deal because he just wants to take it for himself. It was very interesting, a very interesting dynamic. And I don't think that we would have got it if he didn't bring back in Peter. The third thing I want to talk about is Ryan's decision to take Jordan off of a listing per the broker's demands, or Sirhan will just lose the entire building altogether. Now, as stated, I think that the way that Jordan treats Genesis this season is very gross. Him and Jess together, very disgusting energy. He seems very racist or microaggressive at the very least, macroaggressive at the very least. But Ryan's decision to take Jordan off, even I thought to myself, that's probably going to backfire, or potentially that shouldn't be a power move that you let them have over you, because it feels like the goalpost is going to be moving for you. And if you make this accommodation for them, it's not going to be enough. They're picking. That's way too much to ask for. And I do agree that he should have said no, because ultimately it resulted in he lost the listing anyways for Sirhan. However, I get that you don't know until you know. And then once you know, you can just apply things for a future situation. I think it's interesting to watch Ryan learn on the fly as well and sort of have to take accountability for these mess ups that he makes. The next incident I want to talk about is Jess, the girl with the brunette, the blue eyes. The way that she did a favor to Jordan and took a listing for him to show a couple of potential clients and to show presumably Trisha Lee. And let me find out this guy's name actually so that I don't keep questioning it. I think it's Trisha's husband, but I'm not sure. Let's see. And I only think that because they collaborate on a lot of posts together. Okay, so Jordan H is the white guy. So Jordan H, Jordan Hunt. So Trisha Lee, and his name is Jeffrey Saint Romand. He's on team Trisha Lee. Okay, so I don't think that they are married actually. But the microaggressions towards Trisha and Jeffrey from Jess when they went to come see this listing. Obviously, these are two agents who might have buyers for this listing. Yes, she's doing a favor, but is it not bad business to not put 100% into this listing while you're there? Like assuming other people show up and ask an innocent question like Jeffrey did. Hey, what's the price per square foot? I don't know. Perhaps like look at the terms. Perhaps look at the terms because I don't know. That was very rude, and just the way that she felt entitled to treat them that way, and like there would be no repercussions, or like she was just entitled to treat them that way, was disgusting. Like it was just disgusting. And we didn't see any other conversations of her with other agents who were there. So because of that, like I'm not going to assume that you're a bitch towards everybody. It's seeming to have racial undertones, and I think that she should be fired. I also think that she did something unkind on a podcast in just the prior season. I'm not exactly remembering what, but she doesn't seem professional with how she handles things. And I think that if you agree to, like, that would be like back when I used to bartend, right? We would ask the girls to take our shifts. That would be like me agreeing to take the shift, but then showing up 3 hours late or showing up and not serving anybody. I'm still going to get in trouble or reprimanded for that because this is now my shift. Like you had it, but now I agreed to take it. So now this is my shift. Not saying that that's now her listing, but she is doing the tour. Effectively, you are Jordan and you are an agent, right? Like this isn't like you're Jordan's brother. And I understand that she brought in potential clients because her boyfriend or her husband is always around tech people. But if you can't even tell them what's the price per square foot, why would they take you seriously either? I thought it was very unserious. Lastly, Jess, blonde, British girl, and Jordan H. sitting on the plane with Genesis 10 feet behind them and talking shit about her and how she basically doesn't deserve to be there, and kind of hyena laughing about the listings that she's had, and Niall putting her name on all of the listings that they're alleging that he sold to help her seem like she's doing great as a junior agent. It was all gross. Number one, it wouldn't be appropriate even if you two were at lunch and just on camera. It's nasty. It's snarky. It's Why are you undermining her so much? But then to add in, you're sitting there and saying this. I'm like taken back to Real House of Salt Lake City and Meredith and Lisa on the plane. You're saying this with the knowledge that she can hear you and loud enough that the mic is picking you up, very clearly so, and you're being filmed. And that's rude because now she's heard you. And then you were already trying to ostracize her and make her feel awkward. And when there was a reaction on Niall's part to defend her, that became an issue. But now you're putting her in another situation where, like, she has to be the bigger person. She can't react. You've already shown that you're microaggressive towards her. So if she does react, we already know that Jess is going to clutch her pearls. So it's just a very unfair circumstance. Then we fast forward, and Genesis has to tell Ryan privately, like, hey, when we were at dinner, I inflated the price of the listing that I sold to $3 million, even though it was only $1 million, because they were making me feel badly. And Ryan essentially tells her, fuck them, they're haters. I'm in the same position. And it's tough because, right, they are independent contractors, but I do think that there should be some repercussions from them, from Ryan, especially because they are carrying your name attached to it. And there's clearly an issue of being professional or discriminatory. And that should make you question who they're able to sell listings to. And like Ryan says at some point, he can't have somebody there who's discontent with how he's running things spoil the well, I think he said. They would effectively spoil the well by making the work culture and environment toxic. Now, that's what we've seen of them sitting there at dinner. It was very rude. I don't know who that guy thought he was with Jess, but I don't think that Niall is wrong for standing up to him. I think that he was arrogant. I think that he wanted a moment. I think that he was thumping his chest and at Genesis, with Genesis sitting there. So if you're going to thump your chest, I think this is an example of where Niall should use his privilege as a man and stand up. That's not to say that either of them should put their hands on each other, but Genesis doesn't have the privilege to respond that way. And he's being very aggressive. He was being very aggressive, the guy who was talking to Niall. So I absolutely don't think that the blame was all on him. Lastly, I think that Chloe has a phenomenal voice. I'm going to give her that. She's beautiful and she has a phenomenal voice. I think that she is miserable or discontent pursuing real estate and letting her passion go. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? And I think she wanted to combine both of those worlds, and ultimately it got the listing sold. But to me, I understand Peter praised that, and maybe because I'm not a part of the real estate industry, I can't see the value of it. But to me, marketing something and saying that you want to make a musical because of the virality, I think that the property ultimately probably sold itself more than the musical did. I did kind of feel like it was wasting company time. No, you don't have to do a typical property tour, but maybe do some non-traditional marketing, and figure out something else that like brings in buyers. You might have started a bidding war. I don't love it. Like I thought it was kind of cheesy. I think that she clearly wanted to get some casting director to reach out to her, and I think that she found a loophole to do that by way of going in on the price halfway with Niall for their listing. But I definitely think that that was ultimately fueled by her desire to end up back on Broadway. Now, I can't knock it the same way that I can't knock Whitney Levitt for going back to Secret Life of Mormon Wives so that she can nail Dancing with the Stars and then go play Roxy Hart. Like, I get it. Game sees game. I see what you're doing, but it was cheesy. Like, it was very cheesy. As far as her and Jade go, I might have to address, like, maybe it's like some internalized misogyny. First and foremost, I feel bad for Jade in what happened with her husband cheating on her. Chloe was a horrible friend to her during that. She absolutely was not there for her. Also, Jade did a great job when there was that client who she was talking about the value of buying a property versus how much money they had spent in their rental agreement that they've had for their space. That was very interesting to hear. Unfortunately, like maybe it's her tone of voice, but she annoys me a little bit, and it might just like be the edit. But in terms of her and Chloe's friendship, her showing up and needing to cry, a shoulder to cry on, as she quite literally sat there very unfeeling for Jade, I can't say that I would have been moved to answer the door. Like I can't say that I would have been moved for that. I still think Chloe was in the wrong. Um, but hey, if they're willing to put things aside and support each other and talk about the napkin, then that's completely fair. Then that's completely fair. Overall, I really enjoyed the season. I'm seriously praying that I get to go see Sirhan in person. Like I'm dying to see it the same way that I've been dying to see, unfortunately, OG Selling Sunset. I wanted to go and see the Oppenheim groups. I want to see the agency with Mauricio. I almost called them Marciano. Ugh, too much with Secret Life of Mormon Wives. Um, so that's what I have to say about that. Now, I am working on, I celebrated recently. So, reminder, if you're not following me on TikTok, follow me on TikTok. I celebrated recently reaching 100,000 followers on TikTok. I'm so grateful for each and every person. I've been trying to figure out how to celebrate that in a meaningful way. Um, so far, if anybody has any ideas, please comment them. So far, what I've came up with is I have come up with like a resource sheet. I'm trying to name 100 people. Like these are authors, documentaries, creators, um, journalists, books that I've read. But I'm trying to list every piece of media that has educated me in some way, informed me, shaped my opinions. I am constantly educating myself. There will never be a point to where I say that I know enough. I'm constantly educating myself. So this will be something that I add to. But I was thinking about like sharing 100 people who have really influenced me. I know some people are curious. A lot of this too is just the fact that I did do a sociology and anthropology minor, but a lot of people are curious about what I've read, or like what helped me educate myself, or what has helped me to try to continuously unlearn things or address the privilege that I have and then use that privilege hopefully in a meaningful way. So I think it's important to credit the leaders of thought who have taught me something, and that's something that I'm planning to share with you. Anything that was something that I watched on YouTube, I'm going to have a link for you guys to be able to just watch directly. This is not a complete list. Unfortunately, I will never be able to categorize all of that. I knew that I should have made a list as I watched things these last years, but I just never could. If I end up seeing something that I say, I know that I've watched that, then I will add it to the list. This is not a complete list. I'm always open to more suggestions. I love to read in my downtime. I'm trying to get into audiobooks just because I found myself desperate to like listen to a book on a walk that I take or while I'm working instead of have Teresa Giudice screaming in the background on my TV. But I digress. That's what I'm planning so far. I don't know if anybody has any other meaningful suggestions. I am constantly allocating part of the money that I make from my podcast and just generally so that I can be doing outreach all year and giving back to organizations and foundations. So that's something I'm doing just personally. But if you think of anything, please let me know. I'm so excited to continue growing with all of you. What should I be reviewing next? I did see that not selling sun, not selling Summer House. Oh my God. Summer House. I saw that the new Summer House trailer dropped. I have not watched it yet. I think I'm going to record a separate video reacting to the trailer, saying some general predictions that I have from the season. And as I'm saying this, I am remembering that earlier today, I saw a very special comment on my YouTube, which brought me a lot of joy to see from the LAP. No. Oh, from Leah MB3215. I'm so sorry. She says, here a year later, and I can't believe you predicted the rest of Cordell and Serena's story. This is on my video called Love Island USA, episode 21, recap and Casa Amor final predictions live with Tomaslian, my good friend. I essentially did a live where I predicted how I almost said Cordina, how Cordell and Serena's story would play out for them. I ultimately ended up being correct, predicting that they would stay together. This was a point in Love Island, if you can believe it, when everybody thought adamantly that Serena was not going to go back with Cordell, that she was never going to give him a second chance and date him. So I think that this might be a fun thing. I might clip and then stitch with them together now, some of their updated videos, a video of them winning the show. But if you guys have never gone back to watch some of the old interviews that I've done, just generally see the different ways I've worn my hair, how awful my bangs were when I accidentally cut them too short. Those are things that you should go back and see. I'm going to be recording, again, like I said, a separate episode where I watch the Selling Summer House trailer and react to it and give you guys all of my thoughts. Tell me what you're watching this week. Tell me what you want me to review. Love is Blind Italy is out. Southern Charm might be out too, but you guys let me know. As always, you rule the roost. Have an amazing rest of your Monday and an amazing start to your week if I don't talk to you until Wednesday. Bye. Oh, and leave a review. Leave a review. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. Just because I forget to say this in the beginning, and just because I forget to hound you guys in the middle of the episodes, doesn't mean that you can get out of here before leaving me a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, liking this video on YouTube. Did you like it yet? Like it. Like this video. I just heard Denise Brady say that, and now you've got that stuck in my head. But please like the video. Don't log out before you do that. Subscribe. Have a great day. And speaking of Denise Brady, Inner Child Whisperer, if you have not listened to her recap on the Sean Combs Reckoning video, listen to that, watch my recap too, and have a great Monday.